Hi, this is Robin Zell with Singles Travel International. I'm here to help you find the best Hurtigruten cruise. We've got Rolf Logan with Hurtigruten here to show you our Northern Lights departure and our Antarctica departures. Rolf has been with Hurtigruten for 12 years as a sales manager, and he really knows his stuff, and you are in for a visual treat today. These pictures are amazing. These trips are amazing, and if you're looking for an expedition vacation of a lifetime, you've come to the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce Rolf, and he can get started right away. There you go, Rolf.
Thank you, Robin. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
All right, let's go. Well, there you see on your screen a mother polar bear and her cub just coming out for the summer, and they're very hungry. And you also see our partner, Singles Travel International logo, who really represent and are really pioneering travel for singles or solo travelers these days. So hats off to you guys. Today we're going to talk about two special voyages and talk a little bit about the company too. So connect with your inner explorer is what our brand promises. So that's one thing that we can deliver, and that's what we do, is we connect you with your inner explorer. And really, these voyages that we're featuring today rival anything that you've ever decides to advance to the next slide. There we go. That's me. And that was about a couple of years ago in Antarctica, right around the same time that we're going. Our Antarctica Blast for Singles Cruise is a 12-night voyage departing November 10th of 2019. And additionally, we're going to do an 11-night Norway Northern Lights and Arctic Circle cruise March 24th of 2019. Very special departures. My name is Rolf Logan. We're all explorers at Hurtigruten. We're explorers. We're expedition experts. It's what we do. And for this particular webinar, I thought it would be fun to use some personal photographs, but they were not taken by me. They were taken by our ship photographers. And when you go on this voyage, you can purchase. I purchased a flash drive for, I think it was $30, and I got all of their photographs. So why not put together a webinar from that? So let's talk a little bit about Hurtigruten. Well, basically, we're a company that's headquartered in Tromsø, Norway. We've been doing what we do for 125 years, but really longer because we're all of the Vikings. And there you see the Vikings. They were seafarers. They were explorers. And in America, our kids grow up, they want to be rock stars. When you grow up in Norway, you want to be a sea captain. So you want to be very much like your ancestors. So our spirit, it's in our DNA to explore challenging worlds. So here you see, oh gosh, we're 125 years old this year. The crew of the Finnmarken that goes way back on Hurtigruten. We actually started the coastal voyage route to help sustain the 34 communities that settled the coast of Norway. But as soon as tourists caught wind of the fact that we sailed through 100 fjords through a beautiful land, of course, today we get more tourists or visitors. We're all small ship. We're a small ship company. The biggest ship is 675 passengers when full, but our tradition goes way back 125 years. And today, we've become the world leader in exploration travel. So we provide authentic experiences, meaning that nothing is contrived and everything that you experience is in the wild. It's happening right then and there. It wasn't preconceived like a Disney theme park. It's real, it's nature, it's happening, it's now. And immersive experiences. If we're going to do this, we're going to do it right. And we're going to take you to the same places that some of our ancestors went to. So here's a little bit about us connecting you, your inner explorer. Okay, I can see the lines beginning to form after watching that video. So let's talk about our first trip, the Antarctica Blast for singles. And there you see a couple of chin-strapped penguins. We saw this. You'll see these penguins in November. Beautiful, beautiful birds. But let's talk about the location of Antarctica. If you were looking at a globe and looking at the bottom of the globe, this is what you would see. There you see the southern hemisphere, basically. And note to the left that you've got South America over there, and Africa over to the right, and Australia down at the bottom. And you can see the proximity of the Antarctica Peninsula to South America made it the logical course for many Antarctica explorers. So we retrace those routes and leave from the tip of South America and sail to the peninsula and retrace the footsteps of the great explorers. So, you know, many people didn't know this, but it's a good way to remember what wildlife is where. Antarctica comes from the Greek word arctos, which means bear, or arctic, the English version, Arctic. So we know that that means bear. Antarcticos means no bear. So the polar bears live up in the north, where we go in the summertime, and there are no bears down in Antarctica. There are penguins and lots of other wildlife. So our voyage prices include a cabin in your category of your choice, breakfast, lunch, and dinner on the voyage, a pre-night cruise hotel, and I'll get into details later, transfers between the hotel, the ship, and the airport, the charter flight from Buenos Aires to Ushuaia, Argentina, which is the point of debark or embarkation as well. The wind and water resistant jacket is your souvenir to take home with you. The great souvenir from the trip, and very purposeful during the trip. The landings on our landing craft and the activities on board as led by the expedition team. Also, all the activities on the ship, as well as use of the muck rubber boots, which are the boots that you don't have to schlep down with you to the ship, because we'll fit you in the right size on the ship, and you can use those boots. They're rinsed in antibacterial solution before and after you land on the continent of Antarctica. Also complimentary tea and coffee. What's not included, flights from the US, beverages such as alcohol and soda, travel protection plan, luggage handling, and any optional excursions. The landings are included, but there are a few optional excursions that are additional, as well as gratuities for the ship staff. So the voyage that we're talking about departs November 10th of 2019 for 13 days, which is really a great opportunity to go down to Antarctica in a limited period of time. Folks, if you think about it, Amundsen actually reached the South Pole December 4th, 1911. And that wasn't all that long ago, maybe a century ago. And here now, within 2 weeks, you can go to Antarctica. And that's what Hurtigruten's been busy doing, opening up polar destinations for exploration. And there you see a price, and that's for a few select cabins that are only available now. They will sell out. This voyage will sell out. But I will say that Robin had mentioned what a no single supplement is, and this price is based on a no single supplement cabin. I looked today just for availability on our website, and there were no singles available, and it was $16,000 for a cabin if you bought it today. But that just kind of demonstrates what type of arrangement that we have with Singles Travel International, is that they come to us and they specify particularly the nature of their business as solo travelers, and we also try to accommodate as much as we can. So it's an amazing voyage. I'll get more into it right now. Folks, we do not have ships like this. This is a ship that goes to Antarctica and you don't land. And a lot of cruise lines will sell you a trip like this where you huddle on the very uppermost deck to look at the penguins below. No, our ships are small. And the ship that we're using to Antarctica is our Midnight Soul. And it's capped at 500 passengers. So you will have no more than 500 passengers. It's considered a small ship in the industry. It's also purpose-built for the polar regions of the world. In 2016, it was retrofitted to become an ice class ship so that it's built to sail and withstand ice in polar waters. So in 2016, that was done to her, and it was also refurbished and sent down to Antarctica for its inaugural season. Now, this is my friend Captain Kai, and he and I spent some time together. I guess it was about 5 years ago in Tromsø, Norway, at a leadership conference together. And you know, one of the differentiators with Hurtigruten is that our first and foremost core value is keeping our passengers safe when you consider the remote nature of where we go. So Captain Kai is an archetypical captain for Hurtigruten. His father, his grandfather were sea captains. There's a great tradition in his family that goes back for many generations. Captain Kai and our other Hurtigruten ship captains never leave the polar waters. So they're always sailing in icy conditions. One day at dinner, Captain Kai told me, he said, Rolf, the sky in Antarctica was the same color blue as the ice, which was the same color blue as the water. And he explained to me that occasionally there are extreme conditions down there, but our ship captains have the experience. When I went just in 2017, our captain was with the company for 12 years. No other cruise line can boast that their captains sail in polar waters encountering ice for 12 months of the year, but we can say it. Our captains teach other cruise line captains how to sail the polar areas of the world. And folks, we just have fun at our job, and there's our expedition team. Their involvement in your voyage is critical because they're going to ensure, well, let's put it this way. When I was on the ship in November a couple of years ago, they saw an emperor penguin. We deviated from the sailing plan, and the ship got close enough to where every single person could get a beautiful picture of that emperor penguin, which is rare on the coast. So our expedition team, that's what they do. They kind of choreograph the experience and your connection with your inner explorer. A big part of our Antarctica voyages and our voyages along the coast of Norway, for that matter, are lectures. Lectures by the expedition team, lectures by other experts as well, such as professors from other universities. But there you see us educating passengers as they go through the voyage. Typically, there's a lectures every day, but also when you're crossing the Drake Passage as well. So you're going to learn about the wildlife of the area, exploration history, and the latest what's going on in the area that you're about to visit. And notice everyone is dressed like an explorer. You know, you're gearing up for this voyage. So there's no need for suits or anything fancy, but more bring purposeful clothes, dress in layers. That's what it's all about. But these lectures are amazing. You will learn so much. It's very educational as you go. The landings are a big part of what we do. So we're not like those other cruise ships that I showed you earlier. We actually land on the beach. That's why you need those rubber boots. There's our expedition team leading the latest group of passengers. So every passenger gets a number 1 through 5, and in the morning we'll do landings, and in the afternoon, if you did a landing in the morning, you'll go out ice cruising. I'll explain later. But seeing wildlife up close, getting it up close and personal is what we're all about. So let's talk a little bit about our guests. And you know, our guests are typically seasoned travelers. They've done the Caribbean, they've been to Alaska, they've been to London, Paris, Rome, and they're looking for something different. They like to be educated when they travel. They like authentic experiences. They don't want to feel like a tourist at all. They avoid over-tourism, and so do we. So our passengers watch PBS. They're very philanthropic and involved in the community. But for the most part, they want real experiences in pristine lands. So this particular voyage begins with a pre-night stay in Buenos Aires. which is a gorgeous city. I love Buenos Aires. It's like the Paris of South America. There you see the Pink Palace, where Eva Perón gave her speech, "Don't Cry for Me, Argentina." But a beautiful country, beautiful people. They love North Americans. And boy, does your dollar go far down there. As a matter of fact, I brought some cash with me because you could negotiate even further on the price of leather goods. That's really, or alpaca sweaters while you're down there. But you could stroll in La Boca, watch people tango. This is a very Latin culture that very much embraces the tango. Or take a side excursion for a couple of nights. You can do an optional excursion to Iguazu Falls while you're in the area and go see the amazing waterfalls and rainforests of Iguazu. But our pre-night, it will be in Buenos Aires at the Emperador Hotel. It's 5-star accommodations, and there you can just see how beautiful the hotel bar is. There's beautiful courtyards in the back. I found this area particularly relaxing in the hotel. It's a beautiful place, luxurious accommodations, a great way to start your trip. But you're getting up early the next morning, because very early in the wee hours of the morning, we're talking folks like 3 or 4 a.m. We're going to leave for flights headed down to Ushuaia, where you will board the MS Midnight Sol. So I'll take you on board the ship. There's Marit. She's our chief purser. She looks very businesslike, and she is. And that's the great thing about Hurtigruten. The crew, they take what they're doing very seriously, and they're experts in their field. So Marit will greet you at the front desk, and her staff will help you feel comfortable on your base camp during the voyage. Now, we have inside cabins, we have outside cabins, we have suites, and this is a standard outside cabin. It has the twin-bedded cabins. We also have double-bedded cabins in the Arctic Superior category, and expedition suites, should you want it, or a cabin with no window. There's beautiful accommodations on board the Midnight Sol, accommodations that will certainly help meet your need. The public areas were built for viewing the outdoors. So you can see here the double panoramic lounge on Midnight Sol with floor-to-ceiling windows. That's important if the whales show up outside, you know. So you could remain inside and finish your cup of coffee, but watch the beautiful wildlife as they dance outside. Or you could enjoy the wildlife while you sit in the sauna as well. The Midnight Sol's got the creature comforts. You could stay fit in the fitness center, or you could relax in the jacuzzis out on deck. So it's a beautiful ship, and it's a great ship for Antarctica. Lots of open deck space. You see, there I am over on the left, waving. And this is our ship group photograph for the voyage. So you can really get an idea of how a small group like this can really get to know each other before the end of the voyage. And having organized solo traveler activities by Singles Travel International will ensure that you go home with plenty of friends. On the Midnight Sol, we have a photography workshop for moderate to advanced photographers, where you can learn specifically how to take beautiful photographs in the Arctic. And if there's any single parents out there, we do have a Young Explorer program on the Midnight Sol for kids aged 7 to 13 years old, where they actually learn about the environment, learn about climate change, and also have their own activities as well. So here's a picture from my voyage. This was taken by Stefan Dahl, our ship photographer, and it's a good illustration of what it's like in November in Antarctica. So what I like about November is that there's beautiful snow, and the landscape is just the snow is undisturbed. It hasn't melted. So there's plenty of it. And the temperatures are always, no matter what month you go down there, it's 27 to 33 degrees. But, you know, Antarctica is actually a desert, and the sun can be intense sometimes, so much so where I would actually have to take off that jacket. But it's actually beautiful, beautiful time to go snowshoeing as well. We do offer camping as an optional excursion. you can actually sleep on the continents of Antarctica with the expedition team supervising. And also kayaking is a great activity that's an optional excursion. But the landings, folks, are included. So then now the penguins in November, they're a little quirky and they act a little crazy, like this one here you're seeing is just out and about. And that's because, folks, they're mating in November and they're building their nests. And these are all pictures from my cruise. So you really come back with, when I said amazing experiences, Antarctica is otherworldly. I'll show you some pictures in a moment that'll illustrate that. But you can see that little couple on the right. They're getting ready to make some new penguin chicks. So this is a time when they're nesting, they're building their nests, and they're actually in love, mating. And it's a beautiful time, November. I love it. Off the ship, it's an expedition voyage, and we are expeditioneers. So we're focusing on the Antarctica Peninsula, and we're landing at numerous sites. There at the top of your screen, you see the continent of Antarctica. We're nowhere near the South Pole, but we're where that red box is, and that's what's honed in on, zoomed in on the screen. So you'll see different sites: Round Bluff Island over to the right, Nico Harbor in the middle, Hooverville Island, Brown Bluff, Peterman Island. These are all places. Well, actually, they're known exploration history sites. So on this voyage, we will retrace the footsteps of Shackleton, no doubt. But also on the voyage, you may have some current day explorers like Arvid Fuchs over to the right of your screen. He gave lectures on board the voyage that I was on, and we learned all about his escapades out in the rural polar regions of the world. We also focus on landing at science stations, and here's a picture of my particular voyage where we landed at the Arctowski station. Our captain was amazing because he found a way to get us across the Drake Passage to where we had a bonus day in Antarctica, and this was the bonus day in Antarctica at the Arctowski Polish station there in Antarctica. So we're stopping there, the British station. We're stopping at explorations at history sites, and we're also stopping at known rookeries or wildlife centers. If we know that there's an established penguin rookery and it's on our route, we're going to stop there. Our expedition team's going to make sure it's safe, and you're going to go out and see that rookery, whether it's an albatross, auks, or penguins. You're going to see it. So as I mentioned previously, the landings occur once a day in the morning, and then in the afternoon we do ice cruising. Here we are about to deploy on the landing, and you see how easy it is. It's a water level deployment of our Zodiacs and Polar Circle boats. So it's only 2 steps to get on these boats. It makes it real easy if you've had a knee operation or have mobility issues. It's only a couple of steps down to get on these boats. And when you land for about an hour and 15 minutes, and there's a group of photographers taking pictures, and you can see the penguins mating right in between them. They're getting fantastic pictures. The penguins the wildlife isn't hunted, so they really are not scared of you, so they'll walk right up to you. But here's another picture from my voyage of a Gentoo penguin, and we saw lots of Gentoo penguins, and you see here just how beautiful they really are. And also a crab-eater seal. Look at those jaws. You kind of have to keep your distance from the seals, and we'll kind of station it off so you don't get too close, because they will move pretty fast on the ice. And also whales, plenty of whales, orcas. You'll see the humpbacks. We saw minke whales, all kinds of whales on the voyage. And here's a Adelie penguin that we saw. So far, you've seen the ship photographers, chinstrap penguins, Adelie penguins, Gentoo penguins. We also saw Magdalene penguins as well. So you can see just how beautiful they are. But there's other bird life, such as the albatross. So here you have a great albatross. Their wingspan can get over 6 feet long, and they can fly for well over a year without landing on land. They can fly, they sleep, and they fly. They're amazing creatures. And you will see them crossing the Drake Passage. So here we are ice cruising. So a lot of the wildlife lives in and amongst the ice. our Zodiacs will get out and take you into the wildlife to where you see it up close, and you're not seeing it from afar. And the animals are just as curious about you as you are of them. So you'll see them. In this particular case here, this seal followed us for a good portion of the day, just curious as to what we were doing. And the pictures were just amazing from this voyage. And here the dolphins, I remember this was, the dolphins were just playing. They would come and just swim around us. It was almost they were showing off for us. So there you see how otherworldly Antarctica is and how the ice cruising is such an important element of sailing on the Midnight Salt. Folks, these experiences will change your life. I can promise you that. Look at the amazing scenery. You know, we are a very environmentally conscious company. This is a tabular iceberg. That's probably about 5 stories high, and only 10% is above the water. So you can imagine how immense these are. But I was saying the environment, you know, we're transitioning our entire fleet to LNG and battery power. We're building the cruise industry's first ever hybrid cruise ship, and we just stopped the use of single plastics on board our ships. So we've reduced our carbon emissions on the new hybrid ship by 20%. And so we're expanding, and we're respecting the environment that we spend so much time in. So it's our Antarctica blast for singles on Hurtigruten's Midnight Salt, November 10th. We're departing for 13 days. Come change your life. Come take part in an amazing expedition to Antarctica from only $6,259. That's absurd. Those prices are spot on. You will probably want to add a couple of nights in Buenos Aires with these prices being so low, because you can now there's only a couple of cabins available, and you know, it's only
we have 5.
Oh, we have 5 cabins. Well, that's just
we have 5.
We're going to sell those out. So only 5 cabins left, folks. You can't beat the price. You can't beat the experience. You'll remember it for the rest of your life.
And yeah,
so let's talk about our second. I'm sorry.
Just a second. Let's take a second here. I'm looking at who's here today. I see some very familiar names, people who have traveled with us in the past. I love to see some of you guys on this trip. Cliff, Gary, I see Barb and Karen. I mean, you guys are looking for a fantastic destination. This is the one, and you cannot beat this price. These 5 single supplement cabins will probably be gone by tonight. We had 75 people signed up for this webinar. Everyone's going to get a copy of it. They're going to be reminded how this space is going to be gone, because if we don't sell it, Hurtigruten is going to take it back, and they will sell it, and they're going to sell it for $16,000, and we're selling it for $6,000. So really take a good hard look tonight and think about yourself being on this trip next year, because you really need to make your decision very quickly. Go ahead, Rolf.
Thank you, Rob. All right, let's talk about Norway, which literally means the way north. You know, it's an amazing country. So our second voyage today featured is Northern Lights and Arctic Circle cruise. There you see on your screen a map of the itinerary. It's an 11-night voyage, and we depart very purposely March 24th of 2019. Folks, it's winter in Norway, yes, but I can tell you that the effect of the Gulf Stream on the coast of Norway really cools the temperatures on the coast of Norway by 10 degrees compared to about 10 miles toward the interior. The temperatures on the coast of Norway at this time of year actually rival the temperatures on the coast of America at this time of year. Believe it or not, Washington, Boston, New York, Philadelphia will be colder on any given day than it is in Norway for the winter. But to see Northern Lights, you need some cold outside and you need clear skies. So we're anticipating that. And there you see the 34 communities that we stop on the Norwegian coastal voyage. To help you understand why this voyage has been operating for 125 years, you have to think about the fact that 125 years ago, this country was so rugged, the only way to get from town to town to create commerce was by ship. So that's why they started the Hurtigruten voyage. And it stopped along the way and connected these communities. Now, right around the Arctic Circle, you see on the map, right in the middle there, well, guess what? Just above it are the Lofoten Islands. And that's where a third of the world's codfish comes from. So if it wasn't for Hurtigruten taking that codfish and transporting it, actually exporting it from the Lofoten Islands, you would have a lot less codfish in the world. So, but that illustrates our relationship with these communities. This is a very special voyage, and in many ways, it's not a cruise. It's a voyage that sustains the communities along the coast of Norway, but it just so happens to be in the most beautiful landscape. And I'm going to show you some pictures, of course. The voyage starts at the bottom of your screen in Bergen, Norway, and then goes up to Kirkenes at the top of your screen. And on the way stops at 34 ports over 7 days. It takes 7 days to get to Kirkenes. But you're going to miss half the stops because we were stopping when you were sleeping. So the stops that you miss when you're going up northbound, you see going back southbound. So when you go on the 11-night voyage, one of the benefits is that you see all 34 ports by day. It's an amazing voyage. As a matter of fact, the Lonely Planet guidebook described this voyage as the world's most beautiful voyage. Now, we partnered with Singles Travel International to put together the best solo voyage ever. And you can see here the benefits of booking with Singles Travel International. You've got all these things covered, everything's included in the price, but you know, you've got an icebreaker party, you got the breakfast club in the morning, you've got all the organized events that are put together. You've got a daily agenda designed exclusively for STI members, and also a private and secure chat also during the vacation. So that's really kind of cool. And also a nightly happy hour. You could book me at the happy hour. I'm going to be there. But it's an amazing value. When you go up and you look at the price of this voyage, it's $3,269 for the world's most beautiful voyage. I would say you won, and you won big time. But also the Northern Lights as well. So here the voyage begins in Bergen, and you see Bergen right around the dusk, and that's when the ship leaves, departs for the voyage. So if you arrive early enough in Bergen, you can spend the day and see the sights. This is the Brygge Wharf. This is where they traded the codfish back in the days of the Hanseatic League. So these are the old warehouses, very historic district, a UNESCO World Heritage Site. So on the way, you're going to stop at 34 ports, and some of those ports, folks, are just small little communities. And that's what makes this experience special. You will never feel like a tourist. You blend in with the locals. So we take locals from port to port, local people. Everybody in Norway speaks English, so communication with those locals is very easy. And they will only take a portion of the voyage, and in many times they're getting on in a little community like this one and getting off in a little community. And I can tell you this, folks, that many of these little communities would not exist if Hurtigruten didn't stop there to take their export or to bring them import. So we have a real reciprocal relationship with these ports. National Geographic called us the model of sustainability, meaning that the ports could not live without the cruise line, and the cruise line could not live without the ports. They each do something very important for each other. We're Norwegian flagged vessels and a Norwegian crew, and that means no tipping. In Norway, there's no tipping required because every salary you can feed a family of 4. As I mentioned, a part of the allure of this voyage, when you're in a small port, is like, I'll tell you later, I'll show you a portion. When you visit the salmon factory, it's so cool because the people come out, the cargo's loaded, our chef takes some choice fish to serve that evening. It just adds a dimension to the voyage that's very special. Some locals are even driving on and off the voyage. So the voyage becomes very purposeful for locals, but you can see the landscape is just absolutely gorgeous. So nobody within the cruise industry can sail to a country with a crew from that country and with a flag vessel from that country. So we're the only cruise line that can really connect you with Norway, because you're on a ship with Norwegians who live in the country that you're visiting. It doesn't get any better than that in terms of connecting with the local culture. Now, one of the advantages that we have on our voyage is that we will be stopping every day and picking up your food farm fresh. 80% of the food that we consume on the vessels is from the farm that day. You can't get any fresher than this, and you cannot connect with the culture in any way better than eating their food. So when you're on this voyage, you're eating like a Norwegian. And also you see one chef on the right around a dark period and one chef in the middle during a daylight period. One of the reasons that we chose March 24th is because in Norway, there are periods when you have no daylight when you're above the Arctic Circle. So we chose March because you need darkness for the Northern Lights and you need daylight for the coastal scenery. So you get a 12-hour balance of darkness and day every day. So folks, let me tell you about the Northern Light promise that comes along with this, and certainly adds value to the price. If you go on this voyage and you do not see the Northern Lights, we're going to give you a free cruise next year. It's that simple. We're so confident that you're going to see the Northern Lights that we're willing to make that promise. And do you see this screen on your, the picture on your screen was taken from a group that I had this year in March, around March 24th. And they took a picture and sent me their picture of the Northern Lights. So this isn't a Photoshop deal. This came from the University of Wisconsin group that went and did a Northern Lights cruise with us this year. Isn't that amazing? Note on the right of your screen, the white and blue of the aurora by my arrow. That is significant because I'll explain later. Okay, so we're sailing on the Polarlys, which literally means polar. Lys means lights in Norwegian, so polar lights. There you go. This is our base camp. Now I screen scraped these pictures from our 360-degree tour that you could take of Polarlys. And there you see the pursers. This ship was refurbished in 2016, hardwood floors added, a beautiful Scandinavian design. This is where you check in for your voyage. These are where the lectures take place on the voyage and gatherings. It's a conference center. Here's the bistro on board. And those little blue and red icons on the 360-degree tour give you more information about the room you're looking at, or gives you a video interview with the chef in this case. So a really cool kind of bistro setting. We have an ice cream bar and pastry, little dining room there with lots of windows for viewing the coastal scenery. You've also got a la carte dining room, which serves more courses and more Norwegian courses there in the a la carte dining room. Or we've got the main dining room on board the ship there on the Polarlys. Beautiful public areas with floor-to-ceiling windows so you could take in the coastal scenery. Remember, you've got 12 hours of daylight and you're going to take it all in, because Lonely Planet said this was the world's most beautiful voyage. There's jacuzzis outside. There's plenty of open deck space here. You see a passenger taking a picture of the coastal voyage. There's fitness centers on board. There's also a promenade deck to where you can really get some great views aft of the ship and forward as well. So lots of open deck space and a beautiful time of year to go check out Norway. So here's a photograph of some of the Polaryses. This is an inside stateroom. Twin-bedded staterooms on Polarlys. This is a Category L outside stateroom. They're twin-bedded cabins, and we also have double-bedded cabins on Polarlys. This is an Arctic Superior, and then we have expedition suites on board the Polarlys as well. The bathrooms are kind of small. You got a shower there, purpose-built. You're not spending much time in the cabin. When you're stopping at 34 ports, and you've got stops during most of the day, then you're not really in your cabin all that much. But this voyage is all about coastal scenery and hunting, the lights. So I'm going to take you through, time wouldn't allow me to take you through the 12-day voyage, but I'm going to take you from day 8 to the end of the voyage, just to kind of illustrate what we do. So here is a great excursion. Guess what? It leaves at 1 a.m., comes back at 4 a.m. It's snowmobiling through the polar night. And we do this up in the on day 8 of the voyage. So it's a 12-day voyage. We're on day 8. Now look how brilliant. We take you out where there's no peripheral light in the forest on snowmobiles, so you could take in the northern lights in all their majesty. Also, you've got polar lights at this time of year. Because of your proximity on the Earth and your proximity above the Arctic Circle, sunsets and sunrises last longer than they do where we live, because you're way north. That's what Norway means, the way north. So these sunsets and these skies reflect, I can guarantee you, every color of the spectrum for a sunset or a sunrise that will last far long, 3 times, 4 times longer than our own. Now on day 8, we stop at the northernmost point of the European continent, Nordkap it's called, and it's actually beautiful cliffs along the Norwegian Sea, and just it's a place to take a selfie, the northernmost point on the continent of Europe. Now this is the land of the Sami people, and there you see a Sami grandfather. And you have ample opportunity. The short excursions that we offer on this voyage are operated by the locals. So there's over 75 shore excursions. They're optional. They cost an additional fee, but you get amazing experiences like connecting with these nomadic Sami people who herded reindeer. So you see in the background the tent. They lived in tents. So this Sami will teach you their yoik, or their music, and which are typically chants about the elements of the earth. In the morning, we get to Hammerfest, Norway. Look at that beautiful town. I love this voyage because you're not only in big cities. Much of the voyage is in medium-sized or small towns. I love Hammerfest. Look at the church. It's built to commemorate the freight shames that are used to dry codfish. It's such a cute community. And when you go shopping in here, you're buying goods that are indigenous to the Sami people who herd the reindeer. So you're bringing back items that you just can't get in North America. This is Oxfjord, my favorite stop on the voyage, because in Oxfjord, you're going to see outside, all of a sudden the seagulls are going to be flying all over the place, and you see a little red building there. Where are we going? And then you get there and you realize it's a salmon factory. And the birds are there to pick up scraps of salmon that the forklifts are bringing out to the ship. So in 30 minutes, they bring out the salmon. You're a witness to the everyday life along the coast of Norway at the salmon factory. And then we leave and you realize, wait a minute, that salmon factory probably wouldn't exist if Hurtigruten didn't take their cargo to the world. And you see that community in the background? It probably wouldn't exist either if we didn't stop there. So it's a very special voyage in that way. We'll arrive at Tromsø, our world headquarters, at 11:30 at night, and there's an excursion to the Arctic Cathedral, which has the world's largest stained glass window of Jesus Christ. And then the next day, we're on to day 9, Lofoten Islands. You've got a voyage from Harstad to Svalbard. Look at the scenery there, folks. Amazing when you get in this part of the world. There's our Polaris right there with the polar lights in the background. And notice the wintry landscape. We're above the Arctic Circle, folks, so there's snow on the ground for sure. But look at how beautiful this village is. It's amazing. It's called Harstad. It's on this stop along the way. It's where we depart on the Taste of Trondenes tour. This is a Trondenes church, and this church was built in the year 8. So go on a bus and tour the inland Lofoten Islands. So can you imagine the the scenery here, it's like the Alps coming out of the sea. And there's that A-frame that church was built to commemorate. The A-frame is such an important part of life here that they built the church to mimic it. But, you know, connect with the local culture. That's the point. Meet the fishermen. Learn about this community, how it exists. Talk to the locals. That's why you never feel like a tourist. And folks, day 10, it's the last day to see the Northern Lights. You've been above the Arctic Circle for 6 nights, so you better get outside and take it all in, because it's absolutely gorgeous. You feel like you could drop to your knees when you see those lights. On day 10, we also visit the Seven Sisters mountain range. Those peaks are over a half a mile high, and there's some great troll legends there as we move along the coast. We cross the Arctic Circle on this day, so guess what? There's a party outside. There's King Neptune baptizing our passengers on the day 10 of the voyage when we cross the Arctic Circle. Day 11, we're in Trondheim. This is the only city on the voyage that you'll see twice by day. It's a university town. It's a great city. There's the Ned River right that runs right through the city. The Nidaros Cathedral. We have tours to all these places, and you can also go dog sledding there in the Trondheim area, which is an amazing experience. These dogs love to run, and they jump up and down. They're so excited before you get going. Amazing experiences. The last day of our voyage, we leave early. We stop in Malloy. Some of these stops are at 5 at 6 a.m. You'll have breakfast, take in some more coastal viewing before you're back in Bergen. So there's just a little glimpse of the voyage from day 8 to day 12, some highlights for you. Bergen's a beautiful town. You may want to extend your stay. There's the funicular that goes up to the top of the city, or get a bird's eye view. And the Brygge Wharf that I showed you earlier. There's a great open air fish market here where you can buy fresh seafood. And folks, it's all about the Northern Lights with the Northern Lights Promise. So we're going to promise that you will see it March 24th of 2019. Now I want to show you a very special picture here that was taken by retired U.S. astronaut Kathy Sullivan. She was the first woman to walk in space. She was participated in 3 space shuttle missions, and she also deployed the Hubble telescope. But she was educated in Norway, so during her space shuttle flight, she took this photograph. So the arrow on the bottom of your screen is the spoon. Norway looks like a spoon, and at the bottom there is the south, the spoon part. And she took it at the same angle on purpose. There at the arrow at the top of your screen, that's Kirkenes. So that's the 1,150-mile Norwegian coastal voyage route. But if you notice one thing, and I'm going to click another arrow to come up, right around here, look how more brilliant the aurora gets when you go above the Arctic Circle. So right there, you can see it gets immense. And then when you get to the actual top, look at how deep in the atmosphere the aurora is. That's where we're going, folks. The Aurora Borealis, the Northern Lights and Arctic Circle cruise. 11 nights, March 24th, price from $3,269. Robin, how many cabins do we have on that voyage?
Well, we've got a little space. We only have one no single supplement left, but there are opportunities to share and grab your own cabin. But the rate's just not going to be that great because we already had people grabbing this right away because, my gosh, what a fantastic deal this is. I'm just sitting here amazed by an 11-night cruise and what we're going to see for this price.
Robin, I've talked to people, I've been with the company for 12 years, and I've talked to a lot of people that have gone on Northern Lights trips and not seen the Northern Lights. And, that's just the way the cookie crumbles. But if you go on this voyage and you don't see the Northern Lights, you're going to get an opportunity to go again next year. That's that's how confident we are. And guess what? During the season, this past season, there were only 2 days every day between October 1st and March 31st. We saw the Northern Lights every single day, except for 2 days. Wow. From October.
You guys know this region. You guys know this region better than anyone. So
Well,
it's a
we do.
fantastic opportunity for sure.
It really is. So, folks, join us from $3,269 on the Northern Lights and Arctic Circle cruise, and the Antarctica Blast for singles cruise from $6,259. I truly want to thank the folks at Singles Travel International for organizing these trips. Tusen takk, that's in Norwegian for 1,000 thanks for your time tonight. And if you have any questions, I'd be happy to entertain them right now.
Excellent. Well, both of these are big bucket list things, as you well know, and we're trying to get singles out there to check off their bucket list just like everybody else is doing in the world. And people are going. We are seeing so many trips and things selling out before we even get a chance hardly to market them. So you guys really need to take a look at these and make a decision pretty quick, because I'd hate for you to miss out. What I want to do is go through some of these questions. I'm going to go up to the top here. I see a few questions here. Okay. Here's a question from Lori. I really want to find an Arctic trip where I can see narwhals up close. Any chance on this trip?
No chance for narwhals up close. We do have Hurtigruten voyages that go to Svalbard, where the polar bears live, and also in Greenland. But we're taking polls, as you saw, because we're certainly gauging interest. But up there, there's narwhals. There's also belugas, whales as well. But not on this trip. This is mostly on the Antarctica trip. Now, you'll see some whales on the coast of Norway, a lot of humpbacks and orcas. You'll see the same in Antarctica. But you'll also see in Antarctica other types of whales as well. There's about 6 different species that you'll see.
Whales are amazing to see. They're really majestic. Okay, so Kimberly wants to know, do we have any dates yet for 2020? Now, I'm going to let you answer that, Rolf, because you guys might have some things in the works. I'm going to just say we don't have them nailed down yet, but that's going to be around the same time that we do on our normal Antarctic trip, which is November, December timeframe.
That's right. That's exactly right. In and around. Now, we do have voyages through March 31st of 2020. Okay. But the full 2020 deployment will come out right around late September.
Great. And we do see these things selling out a good 15 to 18 months in advance. So take a look and see what you think there. Okay, so let's go to the next question. Not that much, not a question, I hope. Okay, we answered this for Lord. How many hours of daylight are there in March? And that is 12. We're right down the middle, 12 hours of light and 12 hours of night, so you can see the aurora borealis as well as enjoy the daytime scenery. So I think, okay, is there much wildlife seen on the Norway trip?
Yes, there's, you see a lot of reindeer on the Norway trip for certain. You'll see a lot of bird life on the Norway trip as well. Puffins you could see on the Norway trip, and there's also you've got the Norwegian horses. There are excursions where you can view the horses. There's Arctic foxes that live up there. You won't see any bears up in northern Norway, but you will see a lot of reindeer as well. Reindeer are common in Norway, and you'll see quite a bit of them. Also, one of the largest raptors in the world you will see in that Lofoten area. They're called the sea eagle, and so you'll see it's a lot like Alaska. You know, Alaska has the moose and the elk, and we have the reindeer. Alaska has the bald eagle, and we have the sea eagle. And then there's whales, and occasionally you'll see seals. But a lot of bird life too. The puffins especially.
Oh, I'd be doing the dog sledding. I mean, how fun is that? I mean, how amazing would it be to be the dog sledding?
Because all of a sudden, all of your cares and your worries go away, and it's you and the dogs are just pulling you, and everything turns silent. It's just an amazing experience.
It sounds incredible. All right, our next question, I think, hold on a second, I'll make sure. I think it's the last one. No, okay. how do we book this no single supplement? Well, I can show you that. Let me switch the screen over. We're going to go over these trips for you real quickly, and then you can get a look at this. So here's our Antarctic Blast for singles. If everyone can see my screen, can you see my screen okay?
Yep.
This is a trip. Okay, you're going to see, well, we're going to go through this. There's the highlights of the trip are here. The itinerary is laid out like this. Of course, we discussed how the different landings, how it's a little bit different on this one. You're not going to be specific marked landings, but you're going to do those landings throughout the peninsula. And frequently asked questions, here's how to book your air, penalties for cancellation. These are all in here. And if you click Price My Trip, you're going to see share and save pricing, and you're going to see your own cabin pricing. So we've got your own cabin, outside and outside upper deck. Look, outside deck and upper deck for you. And then let's take a look at, I got the other one here. Northern Norway Lights and Arctic Circle Cruise. Same thing, we've got the same layout here. You're gonna see your itinerary, all your stops, your frequently asked questions. Here's your trip chat when you book. This is where you can talk to people who are only on the trip with you. So no one else can get in here and have a conversation. It's all about people who are going on the trip. You can see who's going here. And then you can see when you price your trip, here's an inside share and save, and then your own cabin price. We've got, this is the one that's left at no single supplement rate. So, and we've got outside shares, and if you got a friend, bring a friend. What a great opportunity to explore this together. Such a great price.
Yeah, Robin, I'll also mention on this voyage that we sailed through over 100 fjords.
Wow.
Nobody else does that.
Another question here. I see, for the Norway, I see quite a bit of activity during the day, but I'm wondering how people balance the day activities with the aurora search. When do people sleep if they want to see both?
Well, that's a good question. Well, first you can tell the ship, or you can tune into on your TV a station that will wake you up in your cabin if the aurora occurs. You know, if you're in your cabin. That's an important one. So a lot of people want to be, I woke up once at 4 o'clock in the morning and I thought I was in the sky. If the lights were coming through the window, it was that bright. So you'll want to do that, and you'll also just be aware, they make announcements on the ship when the aurora shows up. And if you're in your cabin, they always put 2 wool blankets in the cabin, so that if you just want to grab them and go out on deck, you can do that.
That's great. What I want to give you guys is the coupon code for no single supplement. Just use the word webinar in our coupon code field when you book the trip, and it'll honor the no single supplement for anyone who's been on the webinar tonight. So that's a really great opportunity. Just type in webinar, and then we will give you the no single supplement for the Antarctic trip. And I think that's all the questions we have. I think we hit them all. Let me see, let me check one more time. Yep, that's it. That's all of our questions. Does anybody have anything else they want to answer? Anything they want to answer? Will the coupon be available for, I'm sorry, okay, hold on. Will the coupon be available for 2020? 2020 trips aren't posted yet, so depending on the availability and what kind of specials we offer for that, we'll have a separate webinar for that, as well as separate promotional offers. So these are for the 2 trips that we have posted on the site right now, which are for 2019. I hope that answers that question for you. And then let's see. Yeah, I think that's it. I think we had all the questions. So does anybody else have a question? Some great questions, guys. Really, thanks a lot for participating and hanging with us, because this is a really great opportunity. And thank you so much, Rolf, for doing this for us. I believe we've got great opportunity here, and I hope we can see everyone booked in the next 24 hours because this webinar was recorded and I'm going to send it out. It's going to be on the internet, YouTube, it's going out in email, so everyone's going to have a chance to get a look at it. Share it with your friends. If you've got a friend you think you might want to join us, do that and we'll get you all taken care of on this end. We've been here for almost 25 years helping singles see the world, and this is how we do it, by reducing or eliminating those single supplements. So we really appreciate you guys, and we hope we can help you get out there and check off your bucket list.
Thank you, Robin.
Thanks a lot, Ralph. Everybody have a great evening. Bye-bye.
Bye.